Hey guys!
Sam here.
And Kimberly. Let's make some invites.
This was a big project for a year?
Something like that.
I am so happy it's done, and I'm super proud with Kim and I's work. We decided to make a video on the whole ordeal.
So here's the prototypes for our wedding invitations. We actually went through a lot of different ideas. You can see here when we thought about recording some audio for some of the invitations.
That would have been amazing, but it was quite finicky and took up a lot of space. I always thought that Alibaba.com would be the best.
The dollar store was actually so much better and easier to access. Another idea we thought of is paint canvases.
But you touched it, your fingers were white, and it didn't feel right. Yeah, dollar store is amazing. It's unbelievable what you can find.
So one idea that Sam really liked is suspending the invitation. I personally wasn't too fond of it.
I would have to drill holes on the sides to get the rope through. Yeah, the magnets were great, except we didn't know how to hide them. This was our proof of concept. And then...
You know, from before I dyed my hair blonde.
Yeah, Kimberly changed the illustration to match her color. This is our prototype. This is what we kind of said we would build.
We ended up finding some really good frames at the dollar store.
Yeah, it's made out of a weird material. It's kind of like plastic, but it's really soft. You can screw into really easily. The invite itself, we wanted it to be on a piece of wood. We bought a CNC with a laser on it, and we tested a bunch of different types of wood. Only started a few fires.
Sam actually learned G-code to be able to use it, but we were able to create these amazing invitations.
So lasering the message on wood and also have it personalized would be way too expensive, so we just bought the laser.
We thought a really nice touch in our invitation would be to have each one personalized with their name, made out of love.
For sure.
One really great thing that we included in our wedding invite is this little booklet with some additional information.
Yeah, I actually wanted all the information in there, just so that they can kind of bring it along on the day and have all the bus schedules and get to know the wedding party and all that. All the graphic elements of the invite actually came from one printed piece of postcard.
And we were then able to cut out each element. You can actually see the ticket from our stag and doe there as well.
Yeah, we didn't end up using those, but we got a lot out of the single postcard print. Alright, let's look at the individual components and tools. Quality scissors are always important.
We got a really cool glue gun here that has a special nozzle at the end that really controls.
If you're gonna buy a glue gun, buy one with a precision tip. It's just the best. So we pre-cut all the motifs out of the postcard beforehand. So you can see here that I'm holding the postcard and all the little parts of it were cut out. Yeah, we ordered 500 and then just cut out what we needed from them. Here are the hinges and latches from AliExpress.com. You can buy anything there. Just remember to upgrade to ePacket. You'll get it in 2 weeks. It's like Alibaba, but without the MOQ.
You can see here the booklet cover was also cut out of the postcard. And here are the individual pages for our booklet.
So these were quite fun to make. These are the frames from Dollar Tree. They were a godsend, pretty amazing. The frames were $1.25 each plus tax, which was pretty good.
Here are the special boxes that fit our invitations perfectly that we ordered.
These are elastic ribbon that I cut to the width of the frame.
We used some paint for the inside of the frame.
Pieces of cardboard were pre-cut, but you can see that they're from the Save the Dates that we made, and you should check out that video as well when we publish it. All those extra postcards we would use as backing here for the felt.
Went to the Lens Mill store to pick out the felt.
Small motifs also cut out of the postcard, and the NFC tags that allow you to scan.
Which is how you're able to tap your phone and bring up the website.
Personalized experience.
The double-sided phone tape was actually used in the majority of our invitations. However, in this video, we did not use the phone tape. Bunch of tools that we used. You'll see those come in handy later.
So, here's the unboxing of the frame.
Let's get started.
Opening up the plastic, using a knife, but I usually use my teeth. They totally shouldn't have discontinued this frame.
So the first thing we did once we got the frames is we actually completely took it apart and...
We didn't actually use the backing nor the teeth. If we used magnets instead of latches, these teeth would have been great.
We did keep all the teeth anyway, just in case they come in handy later. We still have them in storage. So to start, we generally took apart each frame. We used little pliers to get out the individual teeth holding the backing.
So removing those pieces I really like this frame. It's got a nice gloss to it, and it's very lightweight. It's definitely not made out of wood. Might be some sort of
Plastic composite.
plastic or paper or some mix of it's. And they're honestly they're great.
Mixed together, you can see some light blue and some dark blue there to paint the inside. So to keep everything kind of nice and neat and not have any messy edges, we ended up painting the inside of the frames. But due to the material of the frames, the paint didn't stick well, so we found adding multiple coats helped resolve that problem.
Yeah, it's like painting on plastic. It didn't really, it needed a few coats. By painting the inside, we would have that continuity.
Additional solid color to kind of clean up all the edges. Now it's time for the backside.
Drop your money maker.
So one of the main colors for a wedding is navy. So we went to the Lens Mill store and we got quite a few yards of this blue felt.
Yeah, it was nice material.
We pre-cut all the felt so that it was easy to stick on.
Kim's good friend, the master seamstress of all the lands, actually suggested using a rotary cutter to cut the felt, and it worked super. I like keeping glue in a syringe because it doesn't dry out and you can really put in as little or as much as you want, where you want it.
We went to the Lens Mill store to pick out the felt. We walked up and down the aisles. We decided navy was the best because that was the main color. It was going to be our bridesmaid's dress color, but they ended up being a little lighter.
It is a nice snug fit, so we did need to cut it quite close. So hot glue is actually really great for crafts.
The precision tip is super helpful with getting it into the corner of the frame and not making too much of a mess with the extra little strings of hot glue that appear.
And now you can probably see why we painted the inside in blue.
So you can see we're adding in the elastic here, and that will hold the booklet when we're done.
Yeah, this is my favorite part, because as you push it, it kind of fits real snug.
Any jingling you may hear throughout this video is courtesy of our cat.
So the Gorilla Glue I'm using in this video is actually not the best. I much prefer the blue one, which is kind of like a super glue. This one takes a while to dry. Yeah.
So this frame here was cut from the postcard that we printed before. We used this paper frame to kind of tie everything together. It's the nice color that matches our booklet, and it also kind of cleans up the frame and around the felt. And you can see here Sam made a nice foam pressing block.
Yep. And pressing blocks are great because you need to really apply pressure when they dry.
And by using the foam, it really evens everything out.
Alright, the front side. So these are the motifs that were cut out of the postcard. You can see that there are two different types, but they are actually from the same side. So this is how we cut the frames. We use Cricut. I didn't need to use my Cricut.
Like the animal.
Cricut. So it's actually really precise, but you have to line up a 1/4 inch from the end. The software is good. You can do a lot with it. I would wish it would be more flexible.
So we had two different settings. One of them cut out the frame without us in the clouds. The other one's cut out us in the clouds with the frame. You can see later that's the two different sides.
Yep. So we cut it in different ways to produce different outcomes. And you can see all the little elements coming out of the postcard.
So we actually used the wrong grip pad in this. This one's a bit too strong, which kind of makes it bend when you pull it off.
The reason why I use it though, it's the only one that's kind of nice looking. The other ones are heavily used. They're kind of falling apart.
We use it often. It's well loved.
You can see out of this postcard, we got two frames. Even though they're actually the same, they're just cut in a different way. So we put the front one, the one with the cloud, the one with the cartoon versions of us first.
So one nice effect we added to kind of give it a 3D feel is an additional cloud on the top, and that was used using scrap Mary clouds.
We actually glued together to make another cloud, and
that's double-sided.
That's what pokes from the top. Figured we might as well use them. One thing to watch out for with runny glues, especially on glass, is that if it's not being set on a level surface, gravity will tug it into places you don't want it. Putting some glue here because this is where the glass will now come in, but we only used glass on one of the sides, so we have quite a few extra glass.
So we'd add one of those glass pieces back in just to kind of make it more sturdy.
Yeah, we'll put in the NFC tag. We'll encode it later on in the video, but this holds information and gives commands to your phones that are very close. It uses the same technology as the contactless payment on your card.
We made sure to Windex every glass piece before we put it in, so it's nice and clean and fingerprint free.
Yep, it was good fun.
Okay, now let's look at the event booklet that we put together.
So the event booklet actually gets included in the invite.
This is where we tried to include a lot more details about our wedding. So we decided that one side of the postcard should be the front of our booklet.
Because it's a gloss coated, we were able to peel it apart. It was actually easier
And it
than
gave
I
it
thought.
this really cool texture that we both really liked on the inside.
The inside. Looks flimsy at first, but after you press it under some heavy weights overnight, makes it really nice and flat. The booklet was really fun to do.
For the inside of the pages, we wanted to include some information.
Yeah, there are 20 pages in the booklet, so they would be kind of thick. We used Photoshop to make the event booklet spreads.
We made Bitmojis of our whole wedding party, so you can kind of get to know them, and we also included a little tidbit about each person written by us.
Yeah, the Bitmojis are actually quite cool because you can really make one look like the person. We cut it in fourths and then folded it by hand. The paper we used was just kind of like a premium printer paper. It looked great.
We got to include information about hotels, the shuttle we wanted to have, as well as a map of the area around our ceremony location and reception location.
So this stapler, I love this stapler.
It's meant to make books like this.
Everyone should have one. Good stapler, and it's, you can use it. It's very versatile.
And a nice little upgrade is colorful staples that aren't that expensive.
I'm never buying uncolored staples again.
There were quite a few pages in the booklet, so it was hard to flatten them, but we found if we stacked them up and used the blocks and heavy weights over a few days, they would eventually stay pretty flat.
Centering the booklets of different widths and its pages was a little difficult, but
we tried our best.
And we made sure the people who wouldn't notice got the one with the crooked ones.
Lol. Wouldn't notice or wouldn't be bothered by it.
Cutting frames.
By hand.
So this trimmer is actually from Value Village, and it's great. It's cost me I think $7, and they actually
best Value Village purchases.
Yeah, they self-sharpen too. It's my go-to trimmer. Honestly, quality. I marked on the ruler like kind of guides so I wouldn't have to count each time, and just followed each guide for every cut.
Trimmed it all nicely.
Yep, went through many. We didn't use a Cricut because the Cricut actually takes quite a bit of time. Oh, Kim, I forgot to get rid of that stack of postcards you don't need anymore for the video.
Hold on, I can do this. Expecto Bigonzo. Poof.
Holy crap, that worked. Okay, good.
I'm secretly a wizard.
Should use those powers more often. For cutting the inside, even though it was a little painful, I cut the inside by hand.
And I actually really hurt my thumb.
I actually used some tennis grip around my knife because it is actually painful doing this all day, every day. So we'd space it out. But my technique here is I would keep my hand super still and actually drag my arm.
Rarely did we make any major mistakes that anyone would notice.
The knife often would cut into the ruler too, so not being perfect made it authentic too.
Handmade touch. Part 2 of the front side.
Okay, the second half of the front side. Our presser, and we put in a spacer in there to push against the glass as well.
So you can see here now we have to clean it up a bit. You can see the NFC sticker, you can see the top half of Mary's head.
It's done drying. I'm wiping off the glue. If I were to do this again, I wouldn't order a postcard and I would just print everything on adhesive photo paper because that gives you a lot of flexibility with the quantity and how you want things to look without committing. What I did is I printed a texture of what is a cloud, and I just used the Cricut over a full page print and just
mass produce little sticker cutouts of clouds.
Sticker paper's the best.
Because we printed on both sides of the postcard, there is other things on the other side of the Mary cloud. This way we're able to cover that up and you don't see anything on the back except cloud.
You tried to paint over it, but that was just time consuming and not a good look. That's
and a little messy. You can scratch off the paint really easy since the postcard was glossy.
Yeah.
So you can see here the Mary cloud is now covered up and we have just a cloud. So this is when we add the other side of the frame. This is without our cutout.
So then we take the other inside frame and just lay it on top of it. We enclose everything with those paper frames.
So now we clean up the edges by adding that frame again, the same way we did on the other side of our box. It really just gives it a nice, clean, and cohesive look. After this, we realized it would have been a good idea at the beginning to just do everything on sticker paper, because you can use a sticker, you cannot use a sticker.
You just stick it on cardboard and you don't have to like print anything.
It's great. And then we have the other frame you can see here on the left.
Yeah, the paper frame goes on top again to kind of enclose it all. After gluing, go to the press. So our real presses were really tall, like multiple feet tall. Alright, next up we're gonna install the hinges. Okay, so drilling is time consuming.
A really great idea that Sam came up with was these wood boxes from the Dollar Tree.
Because it's important to drill the holes in the proper places, I made a little template box, which is actually a dollar store gift box, which I kind of disassembled. But I drilled holes where you would want to drill the holes.
Pop in the frame and just drill in those holes. Make sure it's going straight down.
There's no second guessing the position of the drill holes as long as you follow the guide.
But the drill, the friction would actually melt the plastic.
Yeah, so you'd have to be very careful
to prevent the drill from getting stuck and melted.
You have to clean the drill bit too.
Yeah, sometimes you'd have plastic residue just melted on there.
The friction of the drill would melt the plastic or whatever's in the frame. Sometimes it fuses together. That was terrible.
Yep, I had that happen a few times to me as well.
We wouldn't assemble everything all at once because we would categorize each half, do a quality control.
So we kind of knew which ones looked really good, which ones had the odd mistake, so we could kind of pair them together.
So that we don't have one half which is pristine and the other half which is like falling apart.
So I actually would always do it in segments, and originally I would grade everything by A, B, C, or D, and then I would go through each pile and grade it by A+, A-, or A, same B+, B, or B-, and then we were easily able to pair frame. Yeah, if it was in the D category, we would take a look at it, we would identify the problems, and we would try our best to fix it. Thank you to Sarah for helping me grade some of the frames.
No problem.
The A's and A+ went to close friends and family.
We only use the screw template on half of the frame.
Yeah, once half of the hinge is in, we can use the other flap as the next template, as you'll see.
We got these frames from Dollar Tree, but they actually were discontinued right as we started mass buying.
There was a time where we couldn't find any anymore. We needed at least 300 of them.
We drove everywhere and we ended up calling
Guess where we got them from?
We got a big chunk of them from Winnipeg, and we had my grandparents drive around.
Yeah, at least 20% of them came from Winnipeg.
My grandparents, Grammy and Opa, thank you. They ended up driving all over Winnipeg and picking up some frames there.
Quite the hunt. Now we're installing the latches. Drilling is quite messy, so vacuuming is very important, especially after drilling. There's just stuff everywhere.
Beautiful vacuum was bought in Rochester, New York. Fun fact.
Yeah, we visited some friends and we got to experience the American Black Friday. So I would re-drill the holes of the latches because we're using nails here, not screws. The first few I would bang so hard to try to get the nail through and just destroy the invite. So I have to make sure that the hole that the nail would go through is big enough.
Yeah, and we found just immediately nailing it in would cause damage to the frame. So pre-drilling the hole in the frame as well as inside the hinge was just great to prevent any damage.
If ever it was too loose, we just use a little drop of super glue to kind of hold it together.
Yeah, like you'd go through and the nail would just fall out.
So I actually did miscount the number of latches I needed, so some of you do have a different sort of latch that we had ordered for samples and used instead. I'm really happy I bought that little drill though, because it works so much better, it's smaller, lighter, and you can't put small drill bits on big drills, and it wasn't expensive either. I really like how when the latch really kind of grabs it and pulls it, it makes it all nice and tight.
It really comes together.
I'm rubbing my fingers because I got glue everywhere.
So throughout the process, our lovely cat Mary would enjoy shedding her hair everywhere. So we tried our best to clean up each frame of Mary hairs, but I'm sure if you looked, you could probably find one.
Yeah, that's our guarantee to you that there is cat hair in every single one somewhere in the invite. And we slide in the event booklet in the back.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Alright, this is my favorite part. This is where we engrave the wooden plaques with our laser. There is this open source software called Inkscape, which is a graphics editor that actually has plugins that convert paths into G-code, which is what CNCs use. fun, but the most amount of work. Engraving wood is actually quite easy. Cutting wood is quite a bit more difficult, but you just have to go through multiple passes at maximum strength. I had to learn G-code, which is what you see here, to be able to drive the 15-watt laser. Here you see it. I would never write it manually, I just manipulated it. Then I used another open source program called BCNC, which allows you to load in the G-code and see it visually. That allowed me to group the names and group the different parts of it if I needed to move it around. To make it more efficient too, we burnt and cut 4 at a time. The perimeter, the shared perimeter between two, wouldn't need as many passes to cut.
Thank you to Thomas Bosch for helping us cut the wood.
Yep, he planed poplar in a perfect thickness. So belt sanding.
Sam, where are your gloves?
This is my first time actually using a belt sander. It is actually quite powerful. Sometimes I would try to sand the block and the block would just disappear from my hand. I know I'm not wearing any gloves here, but you definitely need to wear gloves. That's just to shave off the burnt edge. I did nick my finger a little bit, but I didn't really admit to that. Use a sanding block to sand off the surface as well, because the hot air from the laser would actually char the wood a little bit.
So sanding it actually made the words look much sharper.
We bought the laser specifically for this, otherwise it would not have been cost effective. We had different phases, like we did all the lasering and the sanding in one phase and then put it together later. Yeah, make sure to subscribe because we're going to be doing a few of these.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Felt does attract dust.
So here's us vacuuming up any merry hairs again. So the felt actually picks up dirt really easily, so we would frequently have to clean this just to make sure if there was no hidden dirt.
The most effective is using tape actually.
It just picks up everything. So you can now see this is almost complete. We just have to add the final piece, glue the invite on.
If I used too much glue, it would warp the wood, which kind of scared me at first because I thought I had to redo everything, but after a while, I'm guessing when the alcohol in the glue evaporates, it kind of like goes back to its original shape. So detailing with a knife to scratch off any visible paint or glue, because when we press it, the glue seeps out and dries into these little bubbles.
We tried our best to make every frame look as good as possible. We went through numerous times throughout this process to detail them.
We'd have some that were too damaged to use. You can scratch off paint with a knife fairly well.
We did try our best to make sure everyone's name was spelt right on these invitations. We are so sorry if it's not, but we tried our best. So now you can see here the finished product.
I used a Lazy Susan that I got on Amazon, and I printed a protractor and took a shot of every 10 degrees. If I were to do it again, I would do it every 5 degrees and wouldn't bother with the angled shots because I would do multiple iterations at a different angle.
Don't forget to subscribe. So we found these boxes that actually fit the invitations perfectly.
Finding the gift boxes were actually kind of tricky because we got these frames at a dollar store and it's not like these frames, 2 of them come with a gift box. So I was really researching different sizes and this one was great, had a window, fit well, and looked good and really screamed wedding. So
we packaged up each invitation with love and care.
Foam is actually really expensive, but I found these thin sheets, like a whole roll. We had to budget 12-inch squared for the wrapping. The roll of foam actually was already perforated by 1 foot squared, so they were easy to remove.
NFC, web, and analytics.
All right.
So once the invitations were made and someone's name was on each invitation, we went through and programmed the NFC. This was done by just adding their name at the end of a campaign link. So once you get your invite, you can simply take your phone and tap it onto the invitation, and this will take you to our wedding website.
Yeah, if your phone can support NFC, you should totally try it. Just put your phone close to the invite and our website should pop up.
On our website, you can see our entire wedding party, just like in the booklet, with a little blurb, the ceremony location, reception location. There's actually a countdown to our wedding date.
Postponed because of COVID.
Information about our hotels and shuttle. And you can also RSVP or subscribe to our newsletter. So for our RSVP, once you specify how many people are coming, it'll bring up that many forms to fill out. You can specify what food they're having, drinks, etc.
It's kind of a wizard. You specify how many people are coming and then answer the personalized questionnaire.
Or you can even call our RSVP hotline.
RSVP hotline was actually quite fun. If you go to theroadto2020.com, you can try it out.
Subscribe to our newsletter for updated information and fun facts. So we're actually really proud of our RSVP hotline. It's actually super cool. Once you call in, you hear a recording of Sam and I. It's just like the online RSVP.
Yeah, we ask questions and you just say your answer and we get the recording. Here's our hotline.
Hi there. You've reached Kimberly and Sam's RSVP hotline.
We are so excited to have each and every one of you as part of our special day.
If you're here to RSVP yes, please stay on the line to answer some questions. It should only take 5 minutes.
If you're sadly not able to attend our wedding, please state your name after the beep and hang up whenever you please.
Beep!
So we used UTM parameters for Google Analytics to grab the certain campaign or the source, and we used the NFC save the date or direct input to not track the user, but know which user would come in if they were to access the website using this method. Looking at the data that has come in already, you can see where people are scanning, who precisely are scanning, and where they're coming in from. Our save the date was scannable, so was our invite. Direct type in, you can't really create an audience with that. The idea was to create an audience and send out RSVP reminders to our invitees.
So here's the grand finale. You can now see us wrapping up our invitation to go out to one of you lucky viewers.
So this was really tricky because it would always bulge in the wrong places and it wouldn't fit in the box. But I was reminded of those YouTube videos where they fold t-shirts in really weird ways or wrapping presents in kind of like a weird way, and that actually really did the trick. Wrapping it up was really enjoyable because there was one more invite about to go out the door. We would put these labels on that actually had their names on the outside.
We found just adding a nice sticker with their name on the outside was great. If we were mailing it, we'd include their address. Gorgeous, we both love it. Now this is what all of our guests would have received.
Here's a 3D view again. We're really proud of this project. Thank you, Kimberly, so much for putting up with me.
Thank you, Sam, for making this wonderful idea come to life. It's a beautiful project. We had some great responses to our invites.
And we put a lot of time into this, so it really kind of affirmed the whole effort.
I just helped bring it to life, but it was all you.
It was just bucket list for me. It took a while, maybe a good part of a whole year perhaps.
It was well worth it. So unfortunately our wedding couldn't happen at its original date, but we are still so excited to get married and so excited to see each and every one of you.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have several other projects that I'd love to find the time to get to. We'll leave you with a slideshow of behind the scenes of the whole thing.
Don't forget to visit theroadto2020.com, soon to be theroadto2021.com.
Lol. Is that your 4th glass?
Excuse me? You're on your 5th, man.
This is grape juice. I'm gonna use it.
No, you're not.
Probably at the very end.
I will not let you post it.
Alright, I think it's a wrap.